So let me talk you through 12 different types of coverage you need to be thinking about as a school. First one, property insurance. This is for any buildings you own. This is for equipment. This is for lab equipment, offices, chairs, all that kind of stuff. You got to think about what you own as an organization. Make sure your property is insured correctly. Second, general liability insurance. General liability protects you for bodily injury and property damage you cause to others. Most common type of claim is a slip and fall. It's your base level liability coverage. The next thing to think about here is abuse coverage. So general liability excludes intentional injury, and usually they'll spell it out and they say, we don't cover sexual misconduct or physical abuse. So you need that line item. When you're at school, you're working with minors, you're working with vulnerable individuals. It's really important as an organization that you've got the financial plan to pay for an attorney and a settlement if somebody accuses you of inappropriate sexual misconduct. After that, you also have to think about security teams. More and more schools will have armed guards, or they'll work with local police, or they'll just hire a contractor to provide security at the school. If you are doing that, you're going to need protection in the event that somebody accuses you of using undue force, some type of security operations liability. After that, you have to think about professional liability, which is going to be your school counseling. It's going to be lack of care. Depending on what type of school you are, there's going to be different types of expectations. If you're a technical school, your students are going to expect that you release them with some type of trade that they can use. If you're some type of preparatory school, they may expect that you're going to help them get into a very prestigious college. If you are dealing with younger kids, there's going to be less of an expectation on education, but there's going to be more of an expectation that you keep track of the kid. So this all gets into counseling coverage, professional liability, lack of care, which leads us to the next thing you need to think about, which is directors and officers liability, which in a school environment, the way schools are administered, it blends together. The way you set your curriculum and the way that you administer your school blends really tightly with the type of counseling and education preparation that you provide. So you have to think about how the directors and officers are covered, and you'll also want to take a look at how your program is structured to see if that protection's lining up with your school counseling. And after that, you got to think about employment practices liability, which is hiring and firing decisions. Once again, this rolls really tightly in with your directors and officers, which is management of the organization, and also in your education preparation, because the teachers you hire, the teachers you put on tenure, the teachers you keep, the decisions you make on the type of education you provide, those can all roll together very tightly when you're a school. So make sure you're thinking about how all that is structured. Next, if you own vehicles, you need auto insurance. Or even if you've got people transporting students in your personal vehicles, you need to think about hired and non-owned auto insurance. After that, you got to think about workers' compensation insurance. Coverage for your teachers, for your maintenance staff, or if you're paying security professionals, you got to make sure that if one of those people are injured on the job, that there is coverage to pay for their medical bills. Next, you got to think about cyber. As a school, you're going to be keeping records, you're going to be keeping health information, you're going to be keeping information about grades, and there are threat actors all over the world trying to get that type of data. So it's going to be very important you have good housekeeping practices in place, but also money in the event that that data is compromised. Next, accident medical coverage. One of the most common claims you'll have in a school is a slip and fall on the playground, one of your students getting hurt while they're at school. And the thing is, on your general liability policy, you have to be negligent in order for those medical bills to be paid for. Accident medical is what pays for the out-of-pocket copays and deductibles for the families so that they're going to be less likely to sue you. And lastly, you need to think about international coverage if you're going to have study abroad programs. Most United States policies are defined to respond inside the United States. So if you're going to South America or you're going to Europe, you're going on any type of trips, you got to think about what type of protection you need overseas, whether it's emergency evacuation, medical bills, being sued overseas. You need to think about how your program is going to respond if you're going outside of the United States. So those are the 12 things that you should be thinking about. I hope that was helpful. If any of this has you asking questions about your insurance program or broker relationship and you'd like to talk to somebody, please reach out to us at www.bitnerhenry.com. I'm Daryl Henry with Bitner Henry Insurance, and we serve those who serve others.